Did you know that you have beliefs you might not know about? Beliefs and even biases that are there without you even having any sort of inkling? There is even a scientific name for these beliefs. They are called cognitive biases, and these can cause you to act in ways that are biased, unfair, or even discriminatory towards others. Learn more about these unconscious cognitive biases and their impact in today's talk. Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Growth Philosophy Podcast, a bite-sized weekly podcast focused on empowering you to think better and upgrade your life. And I'm your host, Salik. Before we begin today's talk, I want you to try something. Close your eyes. Now imagine that you are at a party. You're meeting people, you're mingling, you're doing the usual party things. Then you come across someone, a new person, a person you've never met. And this person instantly dislikes you. The dislike is palpable. You know how you can come across someone and they dislike and you can feel it? So you can feel the dislike. This person has never met you ever. You've never met this person, but they still take this instant dislike to you. How does that make you feel? Not good, right? Now, how about if the person doesn't just dislike you but actually hates you? You can feel the hatred towards you, and there is no logical or apparent reason for their attitude towards you. That feels pretty confusing and frustrating, doesn't it? Really unpleasant. Now, if you have never had an experience like that, then I'm really happy for you, because it's not a nice experience. But if you have, however, then you have some understanding of what it feels like to be discriminated against by someone just because of your race, color, religion, etc. You would not like it if someone disliked you or even hated you, especially when you're not at fault, right? No one likes being disliked. This is one of the key reasons why discrimination is such a problematic concept and why it needs to be addressed. So why do people discriminate? There might be a whole lot of variables cited, lots of different reasons, but nearly always it comes down to one key reason. People discriminate because of their beliefs. Beliefs, that's the key reason. So let's talk about beliefs then. Beliefs are very important. In fact, they're absolutely crucial. Why? Because the beliefs we have impact and influence the way we behave. Here is where it gets tricky though. Often we hold on to these beliefs without even knowing that they're there. These are the unconscious beliefs that I talked about earlier, the cognitive biases. And these are usually why some people are discriminatory towards others, even without knowing. Even if they are not discriminatory. So these people are practicing discrimination unconsciously. They're not consciously discriminatory. They consciously might be very anti-discrimination, but they're still acting in a discriminatory way because of their unconscious beliefs, their cognitive biases. And the result at the end of the day is still the same. It's still discrimination, despite what they believe or not. So most people are actually good and decent, and they try to do good things. Most people are not explicitly discriminatory, and that is a great thing. Especially as society has progressed and the amount of awareness around the topics of discrimination on the grounds of racism, sexism, etc. has increased, discriminatory behaviors have become less common. Less common, but not gone. Discrimination because of race, gender, religion, sexuality, skin color, etc., unfortunately, is still a fact of life. A big reason for this is down to the unconscious biases and beliefs people have. Studies have actually shown that most people are influenced by unconscious cognitive biases to at least some degree, especially when it comes to racial stereotypes. When you don't even know that these biases are there, it is easy to be influenced by them. I mean, at the end of the day, if you don't even know that they're there, how can you actually do anything about it, right? And here is a demonstration of how unconscious biases affect us. And for this, I want you to try the closed eye exercise again. So close your eyes again. Now, think about a typical drug user. What do you see? What type of person comes up for you when you try to picture a typical drug user? For many, the answer will be influenced by their unconscious biases. The bias is based on racial stereotypes. This was, in fact, the finding of a large-scale 1995 survey in the US on this very topic. The participants of the survey were asked that very same question that I asked you, and a whopping 95% of them described a black person. So 95% of the respondents thought of a black person when they were asked to think about a typical drug user. This was especially surprising because real facts could not be further from the truth. According to the US data, only 15% of their drug users are black. So the reality could not be further from the perceived belief. 95% was the perception. That was the perceived belief, whereas 15% was the reality. Do you see how unconscious biases influences our thoughts? This can and does create challenges. This is one of the reasons why non-white people end up being subjects of those random searches at airports, a lot more than their white counterparts. And this is also something that can and does result in a whole host of other forms of discriminatory behaviors. Thankfully though, despite not being white in a majority white country, I have not experienced many instances of racism. I'm really thankful for that. And that's of course largely down to the fact that London is a very cosmopolitan city and it is massively multicultural. That said, there is still prejudice there. It's not as obvious as it is in some of the other cities or parts of the world, but racism isn't completely non-existent. The first time I experienced it, I was completely lost for words. I couldn't really believe that someone would say something vile, that someone I've never met before could say something hateful just because of my skin color. It completely blindsided me. It was unprovoked, irrational hatred that had no reasonable cause or explanation, apart from the fact that the other person's skin color was different from mine, and that was all the reason they needed to express their hatred. So that was a very confusing experience for me. So I can completely understand where other people who experience such unfortunate instances come from. But thankfully, I've not had many experiences of this. So when people who are unconsciously biased, they are often in denial. And this is one of the key reasons why these sort of discriminatory behaviors perpetuate. Because they keep on practicing this form of discrimination. They keep on practicing discriminatory behaviors without actually even knowing it. The best, if not the only way, to deal with these sort of unconscious beliefs and biases is to become aware of them. And it is important to take personal responsibility for your thoughts, words, and actions. Because at the end of the day, what you say and think matters. It makes a difference. It has an impact. When it comes to issues like racism, many try to cloak their discrimination and their prejudice under different names using branding that's generally more acceptable, like nationalism. PNP or the EDL are prime examples of this. If you live in London, then you know what I'm talking about. But this sort of behavior, this sort of discriminatory behavior is hugely problematic. Prejudice never led to anywhere good. And that's an important lesson that history has taught us over and over. You might not think that pointing towards the actions of Hitler and the Nazi Party is a relevant example for this, or you might think that it's a bit of an extreme example. that referring to the wide-scale devastation and atrocity they caused under the banner of nationalism is not quite what is happening today. And you're right. The prejudice that's being experienced by people these days is of not the same scale. Thankfully, obviously. But the scale and degree of prejudice, or how extreme the consequences are, isn't the point. The point is that at the end of the day, the end result is the same. It's still discrimination, and that is never a good result. It is horrifyingly bad, of course, in the case of ethnic cleansing that the Nazi Party perpetrated. But even for the small instances of prejudice that someone experiences just because they are different, it is still bad. Not Auschwitz level bad, but bad nonetheless. Let me ask you something. How would you like it if someone treated you badly? Someone said something vile or bad to you just because of the color of your skin, or because of the way you look or something else. It doesn't feel right. It will not feel good, right? How about if someone you cared about was treated badly just because of the color of their skin, or something else like their religion, sexual orientation, etc.? You would be sad, frustrated, maybe even angry or mad, wouldn't you? I would. I know I would. That would be the normal reaction. If someone treats you unfairly, you will be sad, frustrated, and maybe even angry. So it's pretty normal for other people to feel the same way if they're treated unfairly. Makes sense, right? Whatever form the prejudice takes, be it racism, sexism, ageism, or some other form of discrimination on the basis of someone being different, discrimination is never the right path. Treating others unfairly, treating others negatively just because they're different hardly ever results in anything good. At the end of the day, no one likes being treated badly because of who they are. No one. You don't, I don't, the person next to you does not. No one likes it. So why not extend the same courtesy to others, right? Aside from the fact that it is the good and the right thing to do, it is common sense. Surely you can't expect fair treatment for yourself as the standard behavior and then believe that it is acceptable to treat others badly. That's just absurd. That's the very definition of unfair. To be treated with respect is a basic human right, one that everyone deserves, irrespective of their race, creed, gender, color, religion, whatever. Everyone deserves to be treated fairly, to be treated decently. And this is an important reason why thinking well and thinking for yourself is important. That said, thinking well at the end of the day is not about doing what your peers, family, or friends are doing or thinking. Thinking well is not about being popular. It's not about validation. It is not about winning friends or fans. Thinking well and for yourself is about thinking critically and making up your own mind based on clear and unbiased information. This also involves being able to distinguish between right and wrong and doing the right thing even if it is unpopular or the hard thing to do. This does involve challenging your own biases and beliefs. When you decide to think better, you decide to be critical of not just the thoughts, beliefs, and opinions you disagree with, but also you decide to challenge your own thoughts, beliefs, and ideas. You decide to be open to be proven wrong, if that is indeed the case. Because no one can be right. At the end of the day, no one can be right all the time. And the best way to know that is to be open to your own fallibility. Thinking well involves being open to the idea that you might be wrong. It's about focusing on the truth rather than believing or promoting something, even if it is false. So truth should be the goal, not something that you hold on to just because of the fact that that's what you have believed for all of your life. And treating others badly or unfairly in a discriminatory way is definitely something that needs to be examined and uprooted if that is indeed one of your biases or beliefs. Let's face it, no one likes feeling like an outsider. No one likes being negatively discriminated against. Everyone likes being treated fairly. That's a pretty standard behavior to expect. Those are as true for you as they are for everyone else. As such, being unbiased is not just about doing what is politically correct or doing something that gets you attention on media or social media for that matter. No. It's actually a lot more fundamental than that. It's about being unbiased. It's about treating others the way you yourself would like to be treated. It's about treating others with decency and respect and practicing humanity. Above all, treating others fairly and with respect is about being good. It is the right thing to do. The world, unfortunately, is full of people who are unaware of their discriminatory beliefs. But I have hope. Things are getting better. Things are a lot better than they used to be, and they are getting better. And people are becoming more aware, tolerant, compassionate, and wiser. The fact that you're still listening to this talk is certainly a testament to that. You are on the right path. The world needs more people like you. We are all human at the end of the day. That is what binds us. That's one thing we all have in common. That's the biggest commonality you will ever find. We have more common with each other than we actually know. And being negatively influenced by our differences is a recipe for disaster. The differences, if anything, make the world a more interesting place to live in. Our differences make us strong. So celebrate your own differences as well as of those you come across. If you come across something different or someone different, that's a good thing, not a bad thing. Understand it, celebrate it, but definitely do not discriminate against it. And whatever you do, do not treat someone badly just because they are different from you. I'm pretty sure you don't, but this is where your unconscious biases can come in. Your cognitive biases might actually be influencing you to treat someone in a way that is discriminatory without you actually even realizing or acknowledging or knowing it. So it is important to be aware of such behaviors. So watch out for how you behave towards others and how people respond to the way you behave towards them. You will not like it at the end of the day if someone treated you badly just because you're different from them. So act accordingly. Do unto others and all that. Let's work together to create a better world. Kindness makes the world go around and makes the world a better place for all of us. So spread kindness, not hatred. Now, if you would like to learn more about how to deal with and counteract unconscious biases, I'm going to create another podcast for next week with a few ways that can help. So if you're interested in that, stay tuned. But for today, that's it. I hope you had some clarity on how unconscious biases can affect us and impact us. I hope it has given you some awareness, at least. If you have any questions, post them using the comments section of my website. You can also find more details, including the show notes, on there. I really appreciate your time. Thank you for listening, and I'll catch you again next Monday. Have a great week.